the auditorium for an all-school assembly.
Please allow me to introduce the one and only Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Hiya, kiddos!
I think Bill should get an Emmy for this performance. It's just so brilliant and terrifying and funny.
Oh, he's unbelievable. Getting to actually work with him in that scene was truly the greatest gift.
Pennywise sort of became the child of the two of us, you know? It's like Pennywise is our baby, and we birthed this thing into the world.
I am Mark Bernardin.
And I'm Princess Weeks.
And this is it, y'all, the season finale of the official It Welcome to Derry podcast.
We made it, y'all. Episode 108, Winter Fire, is written by Jason Fuchs and directed by Andy Muschietti. And it comes in swinging like a clown with absolutely nothing left to lose.
Derry is swallowed by fog, bodies are dropping, principals are being weekended Bernied.
Great verb. And the Losers Club is out here trying to survive the apocalypse, save their classmates, and maybe even save the whole damn town.
So today, because this is our finale, we've got an extra big special episode for you. We're talking to the entire Losers Club: Matilda Lawler, Arian S. Cartaya, Amanda Christine, Clara Stack, and Blake James.
We're also sitting down with our favorite sibling duo, Andy and Barbara Muschietti.
And brace yourselves.
Yes.
The man behind the teeth, the myth, the deadlights.
Bill Skarsgård in conversation with Andy Muschietti.
Pennywise himself joins us to break down his return.
Consider this your final spoiler warning of the season. As we come into the season 1 finale of It Welcome to Derry, the stakes are very high. Children are in danger. All of the children are in danger, not just a few, a literal buffet of children. And so now we got to come together and save the day.
It turns out that high schools are to it what beaches are to Jaws, just a smorgasbord of things to be eaten by something with too many teeth.
No.
I mean, we could go beat by beat, and there were some ridiculously insane beats in this. I mean, there's Pennywise making prank calls.
What scares the man without fear?
We can talk about how Lily, the dagger apparently turns you into Frodo.
The dagger, where is it?
Where, like, all you want is to hold the dagger and, like, beat the shit out of your friends if they want to take it from you.
No, don't touch it!
We got Margaret Tozier.
Tozier?
Oh, but not yet.
And, you know, Dick pulling an Inception of sorts, infiltrating Pennywise's mind.
I'm not Bob Gray. Well, who else might you be then? Peter Rabbit?
Pennywise can also be a pterodactyl, which I didn't see coming, but...
Good for him.
I mean, I appreciate upward mobility.
Exactly.
So good for you,
Literally.
Pennywise. Marge has my favorite line, I think, of perhaps the entire series.
I want to kill that fucking clown.
Good for her.
Good for her.
Her arc has been very satisfying. You know, her going from Galinda to Glinda has been very well done. And I definitely think it's cool how they tied her into the future.
And I did kind of love the fact that the bulk of the action in this finale, especially on the part of the losers, are the losers' ladies. Like, we have lost Rich, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
Will has been dead-lighted.
Neutralized.
And so it is just the losers' ladies to the rescue. And, like, they get it done.
Sisters are doing it for themselves.
For real. And so, yeah, like, a finale is always, I mean, it's a culmination. All of the story, all of the tension, all of the revelations have led us to this point.
Exactly.
We're getting the explosion at the end of the fuse that we've been watching for 7 episodes until now. And yeah, we get good explodo. Like, we get a good boom.
A really good boom. And some face eating.
Stay back! God damn it, I will teach you.
Which I felt was deserved.
Shaw has been asking for it.
Yes.
And then I was in full tears by this point when, you know, the ghost of Rich, sweet Rich,
That got me.
after flipping the bird to Pennywise,
So good.
joins his friends and helps them bury the dagger in the dead tree on the opposite side of the river.
At the end there, was that just me? Or did you feel something? Like another pair of hands? Rich. I felt him too.
It's a beautiful moment that does kind of pay off the entire Rich story and the Marge story and the loser story. Like, these are the ones who will do the job when nobody else can.
I think it's weird to call that a money shot, but I just felt like that scene is what really made me feel like this is it. You know, like this is really what this franchise is about. It's about these characters and these kids making sacrifices for each other, making the hard choices that the parents couldn't. And that flip off as he slides was so good. And I also was like in tears because I was just like, he's just a little baby. He's a baby. You shouldn't have to do this. And also, Dick seeing this, I think this really helps his own character journey in making some peace with his powers, and that seeing these ghosts can be at times a positive thing.
Yeah, and I did notice that and I missed it the first time I watched it, but they did sneak in a little bit that the root that Rose brews into a tea
This is made from maturing root.
manages to keep the ghosts at bay.
Whatever that root was, oh boy, it quieted those voices down real good.
And the Dick Leroy story, it ends very well.
Well, listen, if you run into any trouble out there, you know you can call. How are we?
I think I'll manage. I mean, how much trouble can a hotel be?
I'm gonna go work in a hotel, because nothing bad ever happens in hotels.
Sprinkle, sprinkle, Easter egg, sprinkle, sprinkle.
Yeah.
I like that he and Leroy, they have a tete-a-tete. They like kind of have a truce, but it was a very satisfying conclusion to Dick's story. All of them really went through these changing experiences, and it was nice to see adult characters in this show also get stuff done. Like Leroy was at least shooting Pennywise in the head. It was nice to see like actually competent parents and adults helping out.
Yes, who are no longer doubting their children, for once.
For once.
You know, in an episode like this, at the end of a series like this, it's how do we wrap up these stories? How do we put bows on these plot threads? And like, yeah, the Hanlons have decided to stay in Derry because Rose makes them a lovely offer. Like, come hang out, work my farm, and I'll see you in 27 years. Everything's great for 27 years, but at least you can plan. It won't be a surprise.
Right. You'll know this time.
Yeah. Will finally gets to smack down on Ronnie. Like, it's a kissing book. And so...
I understand that reference.
And there was a very nice handoff in the last bit that we see, which is October 1988, 26 years later. Ingrid is still in Juniper Hill, painting, Periwinkle holding her father's hand, and then, screams down the hall. Somebody's hung themselves. And it's almost a direct handoff to It Chapter 1, with Sophia Lillis returning as Beverly Marsh.
It's very effective. And I think it's hard to do prequels. Like, we talk about it all the time. But I think through the nature of the It cycle and the fact that the town itself is a character, all the ways in which we connect this story to what we will have in the future, in my mind, it kind of adds to the tragedy of it. Because it's like, Marge will not be able to remember how to help her child, like the Hanlons will continue and they will not be able to help their child. Like, the tragedy in some ways will continue, and that they will be somewhat ignorant of it is like also sad. I just had like an existential dread. I was like, imagine you can't protect your children and your future because this weird Derry mist is going to make you forget everything. But I think Lily has the best mentality where she's like, look, this is not our problem.
What if he tries to go back and kill someone from the time before we were born? Like our parents? I guess it'll be someone else's fight.
I mean, and as much as I understand that it's an It show, and It, as we understand it to be, is Pennywise. But what's exciting to me is that if we can tell this story every 27 years and you can trip back through time, how did it manifest to, I don't know, 1732 people?
Yeah.
How did he look in the early 1800s before there was a clown? Unbound by that, how did it manifest over the millennia?
I hope we get to see it. I hope
we get to see
season
it.
2. That'd be fun. I really think when we saw those flashbacks of It as it first landed being, a priest, being this giant elk, I'm like, I want to see more. More pterodactyl.
Yes, please.
But for now, this is the conclusion of at least this iteration of our Losers Club for season 1 of It Welcome to Derry.
Yeah. I'm so glad we've had this time together.
Me too. After a finale that swings for the cosmic fences, we had to go straight to the source. Nobody understands how this finale came together better than the masterminds behind It, Welcome to Derry.
That's right. Co-creators and executive producers Andy and Barbara Muschietti have agreed to join us one last time to close out the series with a bang. Andy also directed this final episode of the season.
Welcome back, Barbara and Andy.
Hello.
Thank you, guys.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you. It's a big one because not only are we saying goodbye to the podcast, but to the first season of the show. And, it was 4 years of our lives, blood, sweat, and tears, many new friendships. And the audience has been incredible with their support. And hopefully by the time this airs, everybody will have watched the final episode, which is my favorite.
It's a gorgeous finale. And it starts off with this incredible use of mist, the entire thing covered in this really thick fog. It was beautiful and chilling. Was this at all connected to Stephen King's The Mist, or was this just kind of an aesthetic that you formed that was unique to Derry and this perimeter of darkness surrounding everything?
Well, as you know, I'm here to disappoint you all. So I'm going to say that the fog that we see at the end of the episode is not associated with the mist. But, it does have a metaphorical connection with the fog of Derry, this tendency that the adults have to forget. They call it the fog. So at least by name, it's associated to it. And also it's a way of illustrating the propagation of it, the expansion of it as an entity that is naturally expansive, which is one of the big ideas on this season. It is an expansive force. He's been contained in this cage by the indigenous community. The language of the fog also is present at the end of episode 4, where we see the comet, the prison, the rock just fall to earth.
But when the star struck the earth, it broke open, and the spirit was set free.
We see the deadlights come out, but they're trailed by this smoke, and it's the same substance that expands in episode 8.
And then we're treated to, I never had high school performances like this when I was a kid, or even junior high, but Pennywise throwing down in front of this huge group of kids.
Hiya, kiddos!
I think Bill should get an Emmy for this performance because it's just so brilliant and terrifying and funny and dark. It's just, today I laugh. We shot this in a church, funny enough, in the middle of Toronto.
It was a gym inside a church.
Yeah, it was a gym inside a church. And my God, it was just so funny to see him there. And he was kicking soccer balls, right? Because, he kicks Principal Dunleavy's head. And he was practicing with soccer balls. He was having a blast. We were having a blast. Sam Skarsgård was there as well. His brother had come to visit, and we were all laughing like idiots with Bill, just chuckling on the stage.
Yeah, but it was very grotesque. And, I think we owed it to this season to basically escalate to that before we, a stepstone towards the big final set piece or sequence. I wanted something very grotesque, but funny at the same time. That's why I suggested that Pennywise gives them a song. Not only dances a little bit, but also, it's a bit of a musical.
We open with a musical, we close with a musical.
And the song was, I suggested Brad Kane, who is not only one of the writers, but also he's an artist.
Aladdin.
He's Aladdin. He's the one who sang Aladdin. It's his voice. And so he's a musician, and apart from a great writer, he's an artist, a singer. So I basically asked him to basically write this song. And all I had was, what does the song say?
When I close my eyes and I dream of you, I see your pretty faces and I taste them too. But my, oh my, how I wish to cry every time we say goodbye.
Yeah. So every time we say goodbye, that's what I pitched to him. Every time we say goodbye, just give me a song with that. And he came back 10 minutes later with the song and the lyrics and everything. And I said, it's perfect. One day we'll release his audio.
His EP.
His EP.
And of course, it was like magnified by Ben Wolfish, and he created the decomposing orchestra that you hear, which if you hear the song, you will see that the backup orchestration is disastrous on purpose. A little bit of a shout out to, that scene in It Too when Pennywise descends from Paul Bunyan and terrorizes Bill Hader. And he's also singing like, I know your secret, the orchestra. It sounds like shit.
But that stage was so beautiful.
Oh.
Paul Osterberry, that stage hand painted,
Amazing.
just gorgeous layers and layers. And Lewis too.
Yeah.
Lewis and our team that would do the special effects makeup on Bill and the hair. We now have, a Pennywise that's carefully dipped in the clown stew. That's what we call it. So it was just so beautiful to see.
And Dunleavy, that becomes, I wanted to create this scale nightmare where when the curtains open, Pennywise is like 10 feet high. So the curtains open and you see the Dunleavy, who is an average height person. It looks like a
puppet.
Like a puppet, like a ventriloquist dummy.
Which now lives on Andy's office couch. So
Yeah.
people have small heart attacks as they go
Including
past
me.
our office and they see
I'm still not used to it.
principal.
I walk into my office and every time it's like, oh, it's Dunleavy's puppet.
Don't leave me. No, that's Principal, don't leave me. What?
Well, let's get into the Pennywise chase. Can you tell us about creating the suspension effect with the kids floating behind the carnival carriage? Because that to me is like such a chilling moment as well.
So, Princess, I'm going to tell you a little something before Andy goes into that. That was not what we thought would be the end of the show. That's not where it was going to be. But because of the strike, suddenly what we thought was going to be a summer fall show turned into possibly a winter show. So Andy started thinking of, an ice surface and this very cold place to have the finale, because we shoot in Toronto and that's what Toronto is from, November to May, basically. And out of this accident, basically, which was the strike, I think that we were given the chance of doing this beautiful, fresh end in the cold. It's an ice-capade.
The floating kids idea stems on one hand from the fact that kids are floating in the sewers. But on the other hand, I wanted Pennywise to act like a bit of a Pied Piper where he takes all the kids with him. And it was visually more terrifying to have them all hanging because they float. We know they float. And they make a trail behind his wagon. So, as I was building the visual identity of this sequence, I realized very fast that this was very haunting. This wagon carried by nothing but, the invisible power of the deadlights and the procession of floating kids behind in the middle of this, ghostly mist.
Marge, played by the wonderful Matilda Lawler, gets some very serious kind of one-on-one time with Pennywise. And the sequence is not just scary, but it's also representative of this idea of cyclical time.
The seed of your stinking loins and his filthy friends bring me my death. Or is it birth? I get confused. Tomorrow, yesterday, it's all the same for little Pennywise.
Pennywise presents Marge with her future to become Richie Tozier's mother, but also threatens to alter that fate. So what does this say about how Pennywise's power works?
First, let's talk about Marge being Richie's mom. This was one of the first things I thought of. I wanted to connect our group of losers from movies to this new group of kids. It's almost inevitable to do a connection there, but I did want one of the characters to be Richie's mom and not reveal it until the very last episode. So that was a reason, whimsical really, because I can't find more explanations than creating a character in this new group that has the DNA of Rich, or at least part of it, because we see her many times, like she has like verbal diarrhea, neurosis, and anxiety that Richie has that he copes with by being the funny kid. So part of that behavior, part of that personality is something that comes from his mom. And from very early age, we see it. And this is very much connected to the idea of telling the story backwards. This very genesis of this project when we pitched it to Stephen King was this is going to be a story told backwards. and connects to my curiosity about a very specific mention in the book about it not being a creature that experiences time in a linear way like we humans do. I think it's only mentioned once in the book, and it's presented as more like a question, like a speculation. But, you know, as many other things in it, questions and speculations are truths. You know, that's the way that Stephen King has to express these things. He wants to keep things very mysterious and cryptic. So everything that he wants to say, he does it in question marks. So that is something that piqued my curiosity a lot. And given that we were creating a prequel where basically everybody knows that it will die in 2016, what can we bring to this prequel that actually has people on the edge of the seats, even when they know that the monster is going to die at the end? And this is the answer. There's another story, there's a hidden story where our monster is revealed to be traveling in a different direction of time. It brings another layer of threat.
Amazing. And yeah, hey, the losers, once again, they saved Derry. And, you know, we're left with some fun Easter eggs. I mean, we get Dick teasing a new hotel job because how much trouble can a hotel be, right? Then you get a flash forward of Ingrid at Juniper Hill witnessing the death of Beverly's mother. What can you tease us with? Just a little bit. There's a little something about where you'd like to see us go next.
Well, we're going back next. That's the thing. We're going to
that much we can tell you.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a big plan that involves, you know, as I said before, it appearing in previous cycles, but not as something that he experienced in the past, but something that he experiences in the present.
That'll have to do us for now. Just generally speaking, what themes, what questions do you hope that audiences carry with them after watching this season? I mean, the jump scares are great. The horror is very horrific and incredibly effective. But, you know, what's the takeaway you want them to carry with them?
I would say, in very simple words, do not succumb to fear. You know, fear is our worst enemy, worse than Pennywise. And, you know, right now we're living in scary times, and a lot of people want to scare us, and we shouldn't fall for that. There's a lot of noise out there trying to quash hope and motivation, and we cannot let that win. It's the end if we do.
Yeah, I think what Barbie said, and, you know, the book itself, I always saw it as some kind of parable about the weaponization of fear. And in this season, it's quite literal, actually. You know, you see the people in power using it as a weapon, but also, you know, the way that our monster acts is clearly, you know, about like dividing people to make them weaker, pitting them against each other, weakening their will. Yeah, that's what I'd like people to think about after they finish the show.
You know, I have a little tattoo on my wrist that actually Taylor has as well. Hers says, "Fear not." Mine says, "Nec metu," which is no fear in Latin. And I hope people take away that you cannot be driven by your fears. You must be driven by your courage. And we all have it. We just have to find it.
Barbara, Andy, we cannot thank you enough for sitting down with us and pulling back the curtain on this beautiful series. The way you balance the horrifying with the hilarious, the high-octane moments with the quiet, emotional ones is deeply impressive. And we can't wait to see what's next for both the two of you and for poor old Derry, Maine.
Mark, let me say one last little thing. I hope everybody watched episode 8 until the very, very end, because there's a couple spectacular scenes after, you know, and we'd love to dedicate this podcast episode and the episode as well to the wonderful Joan Gregson, who came back to us at 91 to play Mrs. Kirsch, and who left us 2 months after shooting with us. And she was the joy of the set and an incredible actor. So we'd like to dedicate this episode to her.
Oh, dear. Don't be sad. You know what they say about Derry. No one who dies here ever really dies.
Amazing. Happily done.
Thank you. Oh, and thank you to the one and only Stephen King, who shaped our youth with his literature and who we're, forever indebted for trusting us with his jewels. And we love you, Steve. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Andy and Barbara, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Derry is full of darkness, but it's also got its tender, heartfelt, heartbreaking moments and relationships.
We're joined now by two incredible young talents. They're the actors at the center of Welcome to Derry's greatest love story that sadly ended far too soon. Yeah, we're talking about Marge and Rich. Welcome to the show, Matilda Lawler and Arian S. Cartaya. Together, you bring so much heart to the show. We're so excited to have you both here.
Hello. Thank you for having
Thank you for having us here today.
Of course. Okay, so you both have some experience acting in scary stories. Matilda, you were in Station 11, and Arian, a short horror film called Birdhouse. But how did each of you feel when you got the call about being in something like It? I mean, it's legendary. It's storied. It's part of the fabric of pop culture. Were you scared at all?
So when I got the call that I got the role, it was on speaker, so my whole family heard it. And I was super excited. I get to be a part of this big franchise, and I was bouncing all over the walls of the house. But then a few days later, I was a little scared because they gave us all the information and it said Pennywise, and I was terrified of Pennywise. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I can attest to Arian's deep fear of Pennywise, and I also share it. But I kind of had a similar experience to Arian. My initial reaction was just absolutely thrilled to be a part of this universe that is so expansive. And I mean, it's so exciting how many different elements there are. There's a book, there are all these movies, the Tim Curry miniseries, all of Stephen King's work. Going into this universe, it just feels so rich and exciting to explore. So I was definitely excited to be a part of that. Definitely also intimidated because, it is such a big franchise, and I think people have really strong feelings and emotional connections with the characters, and you just hope that the kind of thing that you bring to the universe will add to it and kind of resonate with the people who have lived with the other characters who've been established already. So there was definitely some fear, but mostly just excitement.
That's awesome. Earlier this season, we spoke to Jason Fuchs and Brad Caleb Kane, the showrunners of Welcome to Derry, and they mentioned that one of their challenges was capturing how kids talked in 1962.
Ooh.
As performers, how did you put yourselves in the shoes of a 1960s kid?
That's a great question. I remember there were definitely some struggles with keeping it in the 60s on set. I remember Arian and Blake kept in the scene in the sewers when Arian and I are holding hands.
Are you two holding hands?
No? Yeah. Blake and Arian kept improving a high five after he and I had held hands. That's yeah, bro, good job. But Mr. Ben, our acting coach, kept saying, guys. Well, he said it a lot nicer than this. But he was like, guys, there were no high fives in the 60s. And I remember, so stuff like that kept happening where we were trying to improv things that weren't actually accurate to the era. And so, current lingo just would not work. And I even remember Andy telling me we used a lot of F-bombs over the course of filming, mostly improv F-bombs. And apparently, in the 60s, it was a much bigger deal when you said the F word, especially as a kid. So they had to cut out a lot of those.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was really cool to kind of be in that era and learn the 60s lingo, Ginchi.
You're supposed to be the Ginchiest.
Some other random words.
Oh, jeepers, Lil, you have blood on your face. Are you okay?
Bunch of fucking cretins, that's what they are.
It's gonna be so boss.
Yeah, real boss. I think we need to bring them back, honestly, because they're just such fun words.
Also, to get used to the dancing, because like at first you see those dance moves and you're like, ugh. But then you start getting used to it and then you can't stop doing it on set. So
Yeah, like we would do the bunny hop on set a lot. Remember that? That was actually really fun.
We had so many dancing lessons as a group. I don't think we could keep up. And we were supposed to have a dancing scene at the standpipe, but I don't think we ever did that, which was sad.
Who was the best dancer?
Me. 100%.
He's humble too.
But other than me, I would say probably you, Tilly.
Really? Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Matilda, Marge goes through a lot in this series. You know, she's trying to balance like social pressures and staying loyal to her longtime friend. Was there any part of that that you could like relate to? You know, like did you ever feel that kind of tug of war between what people expect of you and what feels right to you?
Yes. Yes, in all caps. I feel like if you're a human being or if you've ever been a teenager, you can relate to Marge. I just think that her experience of this real inner turmoil, this like push and pull of where do I belong? Where do I fit? How do I define myself? This just like deep need to be accepted and kind of feel like you're a part of a group or understand yourself by being a part of a group. That just felt so resonant to me, and just I definitely relate to that on so many levels. And like I said, I just think every teenager relates to that. And I think it's like an uncomfortable thing to look at a character that brings up those uncomfortable parts of being a teenager. Like in a lot of the shows that I've seen and the shows that kind of exist in like the world right now, feel like they kind of paint the teenage experience. They kind of like wash over it to make it like, oh, angsty teen, or like, oh, like one-sided, oh, blah, blah. And it just really is kind of irritating to me sometimes because there's so much more to what being a teenager is and what it feels like and how uncomfortable and ugly like the things that you experience as a teenager are. So I just feel like Marge gave me the opportunity to wrestle with and face those kind of uncomfortable things that I was experiencing through her journey. So yeah, I hope that she resonates with other people and teenagers who also feel that way.
I mean, it does seem as if everybody is an outsider at some point, right? Like everybody kind of doesn't fit in at some point in their lives. And usually it hits in the teen years. But like Rich comes to that with this just, he's like a breath of fresh air. Like this is a dude who might not fit in, but also doesn't seem to care that he doesn't fit in. Was there a favorite moment for you, Arian, where you just were able to really cut loose with that level of energy, that level of just, you know, life?
Yeah, I can definitely say the cemetery. I mean, you can just see the excitement that Rich has going into that scene. Like just making friends will make his day or his year. Like he just wants that. That's his number one goal in school, just to make friends. I would also say in episode 2, the empanada scene. I mean, Rich and Will in the hallway having lunch.
What you reading? 101 Scientific Facts by Thomas Inwood.
And then Marge walks by. Wow. You know?
Hello? Oh, hi.
And then when Marge and Rich kind of get together, it's just let's just chef's kiss. It's the best.
I agree.
And their love story is such a bright light in the darkness of Derry. And, you know, I particularly love the scene of the two of you in the lunchroom in episode 6. When Marge finally steps up and stands up to the cool girls wearing her freak badge with pride.
Patty. Margaret. I am a freak.
Can you both kind of take us behind the scenes at that moment? Like what it was like to shoot, what it's like to stand for yourselves?
Arian, that was such a fun scene to film.
Yes, I can definitely agree 100%.
We did a lot of improv in that scene, which is what I loved most about working on the show was all the improv we got to do. And we did a lot of improv as pirates. We used Rich's drumsticks to have like a pirate fight, and we like had made this whole like extravagant plan for the improv we would add to the scene. And then on the day it was like we did it and they were like, "Oh, guys, I think it's a little too long." But it was still really fun to do.
I've always wanted to be a pirate. Look at us. A pirate and a knight. Guess we got next Halloween all figured out, huh? It's a date.
I love what you say about Rich and Marge's relationship kind of being a light. I feel like what I love so much about their relationship is it just feels like the purest form of love. Like, Rich is kind of just this character who's so accepting and loving, and he kind of just sees Marge for who she is and sees beyond the kind of like turmoil that Marge is experiencing inside right now with the patty cakes and all of the hardship she's going through. He kind of sees past all of that. I feel like that kind of like feeling of Marge feeling so seen by someone and like being seen in such a favorable way and like seen for who she just really is so beautiful and so the opposite of what Pennywise stands for and what Pennywise is about. So it's like, it's totally a light. And Arian, I just loved working with you.
Another moment between the two of you that I loved so much was the moment in 107 when Rich sacrifices himself to save Marge as the black spot is burning.
Remember what you said about knights?
Yeah.
Well, we don't just pee in pots. We also protect fair maidens.
You both bring such like emotional depth and precision to that scene. Like there's a lot of different places each of those characters has to go. Tell me a little bit about filming that moment.
So in the black spot, we were always together no matter what. And our goal there was to always spend time together, right? And just build that chemistry more.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was building the chemistry more. We were just like having so much fun together on set.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, we did not leave each other's sides.
No, not at all. And, you know, in the scene, that definitely helped it be more emotional for us and to make it feel real. But other than that, I feel like we just were having fun. Behind the camera, we were joking around, taking pictures.
Covered in fake ash and
like this black makeup.
Like all this dirt.
Everywhere. Like on our clothes, on our face.
It's fun. It's like fun to be that dirty and kind of just like not care. I will also say it was a very long process of filming the whole black spot sequence. We were filming that like over the course of a month, I think. And like there was a full week when we were filming. We had a lot of rehearsals beforehand and we just kind of kept coming back to it. Yeah, being in that cooler was, I will never forget how it felt. As an actor, like being in that enclosed space just gave me so much for the scene. And that feeling of just being like stuck and there's nothing you can do, that was definitely a really cool thing to play off of. And Arian, I remember being so in awe of how you were able to like, you know, even when you weren't on camera, you were off camera telling me the story that Rich tells Marge and talking to me. And like you were just so there for me, so like trying to give me as much as you could, even when you weren't on camera. I really appreciated that.
The finale, though, it's nuts. It's completely banana pants from beginning to end. And it's full of like action and horror, and Pennywise is finally completely unleashed on the kids of Derry. How much do you know about what's going to end up on screen? Like, how much do they tell you about how horrific the horror is going to look? Or how much do you just get surprised when, oh my God, is that Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise? Like on the day, on set? You know, how much prep do you have beforehand about how intense it's going to be?
when I was in Toronto filming all of this, I just read the scenes that I was in and all my lines. Like, it was on purpose, though. So when I watched it, I had no idea what was going on, right? So now that I've watched everything, I understand the whole storyline and it's super interesting. But also in episode 5, when we go to the sewers, that scene with Pennywise, that is terrifying. There was some going on with me that day that I was just, that guy could not touch me. That was my goal that day.
Arian, you high-fived him after we filmed the
I know.
scene.
At the end, I gave him a hug and we took a picture. But yeah, in episode 8, the frozen lake, we also took another picture with him that day. And he was a little better that day because I didn't have much to do with him in that scene. But just seeing Bill was terrifying.
Yes.
I mean, and Matilda, like, you have this intense face-off with him.
Yeah.
So what's it like working with Bill Skarsgård?
Oh, he's unbelievable. He's truly unbelievable. I am such a fan of his, and getting to actually work with him in that scene was truly the greatest gift. You really don't have to act when you're working with him. He just gives you so much. It's like you're just reacting to what he's giving you. And I will never, ever forget this visual of that shot that we see from the side of Marge crawling back as Pennywise comes towards her. In my eyesight, like, I had no view of the cameras or the crew. So to me, I just saw this icy set with Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise walking towards me.
Oh, I've always wondered how you tased Margaret Dozer.
It will live in my memory forever. And it felt real, and it felt dark, and it felt so scary, and it just felt like everything that Pennywise embodies, like all the evil, all the fear, he just somehow carries that with him and brings that to set. And it's really unbelievable. But I am glad that he's not a method actor because he's really nice. And he actually gave me a hug, like, while we were filming. He was like, oh, yeah, that seems intense. And yeah, he gave me a hug. And I was like, oh, my gosh. Thank goodness he's not actually this evil. Like, my faith in humanity is restored. And it was very cool to watch him and Andy work together because they just get so excited. They're like little kids, like, just super excited about the character. And they're just very thoughtful about all the decisions they make. And they like to try different things and talk about things and try different angles. And that whole process was super cool to observe and kind of be a part of for that scene.
That's awesome. I will say that I was in complete full tears in the moment where Rich's spirit shows up and helps the gang reconstruct the final pillar. I mean, it's so touching. It's so emotional. It's such this culmination of everything that it feels like the first season of Welcome to Derry is about. Tell me about the day you're shooting that.
It was fun to film just because, like, you get to film a scene with the adults. And that experience, it was always fun to film with the adults. Also with Andy. I mean, Andy improvised me flipping off Pennywise. And I thought that was super funny because, like, I had nothing to do with Pennywise. I had one scene with Pennywise, and Pennywise didn't kill me, right? I sacrificed myself. But then you see Rich, like, showing that hate that he has for Pennywise. And I just feel like that's really funny. I was also in tears. Don't feel like you're the only one. I cried all of episode 7 and 8. But when I saw that scene, I was dead laughing. I cannot lie.
It's such a badass moment. And it's like, oh my gosh, go Rich. Because, like, first off, you don't die because of Pennywise. You choose to die to save Marge. And by the way, if you hadn't done that, Rich Tozier, Marge's son, you know, who knows what would have happened there. So, like, Pennywise probably hates Rich a lot. So then for Rich to, like, then also give him the finger, is just so cool. And didn't Andy add the slide in because you kept sliding on the floor?
Yeah, so the ice, it's just a painted studio floor with like this substance that makes it kind of slippery. But I remember I got to set that day and I could not stop sliding on the floor. And Andy was like, I like it. You're going to do that when you go in. So the finger and the sliding was all improvised. And that was the highlight of the day and that scene for me.
It's just, it's a very powerful moment. And I was also in tears when Rich's spirit comes to help. So you guys aren't alone.
Matilda, Arian, thank you so much. I mean, it's delightful to talk to both of you, and we cannot wait to see where your talent takes you next.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
This was awesome.
Thanks, gang.
We are so excited to be joined by three truly remarkable young actors whose performances go far beyond their years. As the beating heart of Welcome to Derry's Losers Club, they captured the beauty and bravery of true friendship. Please welcome Amanda Christine, Clara Stack, and Blake Cameron James, the stars behind Ronnie Grogan, Lily Bainbridge, and Will Hanlon. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course. How did you feel about stepping into this universe? What was that process like?
To step into something this big and so well loved was honestly such an incredible experience. You know, finding out that I would get to be a part of this and get to work with such amazing people and work with Andy and Barbara, who were obviously such a big part of the original movies, was such a cool thing to experience. And I just loved, you know, doing research on the first It movies and, you know, the book, and kind of seeing how all of that ties into Welcome to Derry as a series, and seeing, you know, cool subplots that relate back to the books and hidden Easter eggs. I think it all ties in together so beautifully, and I think it's such a cool part of this series, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
Amanda?
Yes, stepping into this franchise was definitely an honor, and getting to work in a horror franchise this big and in the Stephen King universe was so cool because, like, all the goo and all the blood and just all the prosthetics and all the visual effects and just everything that we were able to see was just so amazing. And yeah, like Claire was saying, working with Andy and Barbara was just so cool and just so amazing to experience.
And then Blake, because I heard that you're not a fan of horror as well, so I'm really interested to know how you got into this whole thing.
I mean, yes, prior to this, like, I hadn't touched horror, like, and I still probably won't too much, like, watching it, but I mean, it's an honor, like, it's crazy, like, and honestly, all right, I'll say, after, like, I did watch It 1 and It 2, I'm a, like, fan of it all now, because, like, of course, it's still scary, and Pennywise is still terrifying to me, but, like, I'm, like, really a fan. Like, Pennywise is one of my favorite fictional characters now. I can't even lie. At the end, when he was, like, going up to Marge, like, he showed the thing of Richie, and, like, I was tweaking. Like, I was, like, going crazy over that. It was really cool to me.
That's awesome. Were there any moments, and anyone can jump in for this, that felt differently when you watched the final episodes, or something that really impressed you or took you by surprise, because just the process from performing it was so different from what you thought it was going to be?
I ain't gonna lie, for me, it was, like, everything. Everything. Especially, like, the ones where they had to do a lot of, like, VFX for it. Like, Tilly's scene, where, like, her eyes, oh, that scene was wicked. Even my river scene, like, I did not think it was gonna look like that at all. When he, like, pulled me down underwater, I didn't think Leroy was gonna look all burnt and charred.
One thing I love about Andy is that he gave us as much to react to actually on set as he could. But, you know, obviously looking at this show, there are a bunch of scenes that involve CGI and VFX. So I think after filming those, like, horror sequences, there was a lot of anticipation leading up to, like, oh, I wonder how it will look in the real show. And to, like, see it now, like, on screen with editing and post and everything added, it's honestly so cool.
It was such a glorious moment just watching the last episode. I was like, oh my God, like this is golden. Like this is amazing. Like we actually did it. And just seeing how much hard work that we all put into that episode, I was literally like crying.
Were there any moments that looked terrifying on screen but were actually like kind of hilarious or awkward while filming? Because like with everything comes together, it looks very seamless. But I feel like, especially like the pickle stuff, I was like, what did that look like to have to do when you're actually on set?
I actually had like a rubber, like prosthetic, like dad head to react off of for some of the takes.
Got a kiss for daddy.
Part of me was like freaked out by it because it looked really gross, but also part of me was like, it just looked funny. I will say, although like a lot of the scenes were really like intense, Andy made it so much fun on set, and there'd be a bunch of times where in between takes we were laughing and joking around, and we really had to focus. In episode 1, the movie theater scene, it was my first time working with, Jack and Matilda and Macau, and we honestly had a lot of fun during that scene, and we were reacting off of like this massive like 3D printed baby head. I mean, all of these crazy scenes, I think, while it was definitely like challenging at sometimes, we all had like a lot of fun with each other.
That's so cool. And I think, each of you have experiences with Pennywise that really tap into the fear of your characters. Clara, you already mentioned the pickle gate scene, and Lily's a character that deals with so much grief throughout the show. What was it like tapping into that kind of grief for that character and really playing someone who is constantly trying to be heard but is never listened to?
Yeah, so I mean, along with like all the research we did on the 60s and the time period, for my character specifically, I had to do a lot of research on grief and how people kind of carry that guilt with them daily. One of the biggest things that she struggles with, not only in episode 2, but throughout the whole series, is the grief she deals with regarding her dad, because not only did he pass away, but she also kind of believes it to be her fault in a way because, he went back to go get her a mood ring. So she kind of puts the blame on herself. So I think, obviously with Pennywise, he kind of just takes people's specific insecurities and fears and turns that against them. And I think that the pickle scene, while it is intense and disgusting and horrifying, it's also really sad because it shows Lily's fear and grief and guilt kind of manifesting in front of her. And I think that it represents all that she has bottled up inside. And I think that one of the things that she struggles with is convincing other people that she's not crazy and also convincing herself that she's not crazy. And I think that that's definitely a balance that she kind of has to figure out throughout the series.
Absolutely. And then Amanda, you have the scene that we call Ronnie's rebirth in episode 2, which is horrifying when it manifests as your late mother.
Come to mama!
Andy talked about how he was so impressed with working with you on this scene. What do you remember most about shooting this sequence? Because it looks slimy, it looks intense, it seems like it has so many moving parts. What was it like to really physically and emotionally put yourself into that scene?
Yeah, it was very intense to film that scene. It took a week actually to film the whole thing, and it was a lot of training that went into it, a lot of vulnerability that also went into it too, and a lot of action. Like there was so much that I had to do with the stunt people, with breathing lessons for like learning how to breathe underwater for a long time. So there was a lot of stuff that I had to do and just build myself up on over time. But it was so fun filming with Andy. Whether I was crying, screaming, it always turned out to be a joyous moment towards the end.
And Blake, the river scene which you mentioned, you said it was different than what you expected. What was it like to shoot on location for that scene? And then to follow it up, you kind of worked the most with like your parents. You have the nuclear family. What was it like working and building that relationship with your fictional parents?
Man, Mr. Javon, I actually just talked to him the other day. He's so incredible. I mean, he's like a mentor to me, always giving me tips and advice and things of that nature. And I'm so excited that I got to work with him and hopefully can again. Miss Taylor as well, she's so incredible. She's the best. Working on the river scene, man, I'll never forget that for sure, because that's one of the scenes where emotions like actually get worked up like in real life. And Pennywise often goes for people's like biggest fears and insecurities, as Clara was saying, but he picked my dad to go after me. Will and his father's relationship, is rocky, and Pennywise felt like that was a very, very sore spot to attack for him. So, I feel like everybody felt the intensity of it.
For sure. And I think the slap scene is just such an intense moment.
It's got to your head.
I think that scene really just speaks to how much work that you as actors have to put into building those kind of emotional moments.
Yes, man, for sure. That scene was so crazy. I was like genuinely crying. Like after they said cut and we walked off, I literally like closed the door and I was just sobbing on the ground because that's one that you have to go there. Like you have to put yourself in that place mentally, and it's a skill to get out of that. And I hadn't really learned that then, and I don't even know if I have now, but man, that was very, very intense. Yeah.
Well, did y'all have people on set who were able to, like, you're professionals, obviously, but people who were there to help, protect you and mentor you? Like, I know that usually that's also a role that parents do, but did you have people that you could go to when there were scenes where, like, this got really intense?
I mean, yeah, we definitely had a mentor, and his name was Mr. Ben Perkins. And man, we love him. Like, I can say for my intense scenes and definitely my scare scene, he was there every step of the way. And just talking to him and just really like working with him on who I am as a person, but also like going to the vulnerable traumas that I also have as a person and allowing that to show on the screen and allowing it to just be my art and not be something that I'm afraid of, because I feel like for young actors and kids, people are scared to scream and really give all that full emotion that adults do on screen. So just being able to pull that out of us and just allowing us to have that freedom and just creativity within ourselves to be able to do that, I just hands down thank him so much, because yeah, it was just, I love him.
Yeah, I mean, he guided me so much through my scenes, but also me as a person throughout the filming, because we were filming for a really long time. I mean, I was in 7th grade when we started filming, and I'm a sophomore in high school now. So
oh, wow.
It's been a really long time. And I think that he helped so much. And not just as an acting coach, but as a person, I think that he uplifted us so much and really just made set feel like such a safe space for us to get to that vulnerable place and try new things and just letting our emotions out. And I'm so incredibly grateful that we had him on set, because he really did make all the difference.
I honestly credit a lot of our chemistry on screen and even behind the scenes to him, because he was really heavy on like games and things of that nature, like involving acting, and it was all to build chemistry on screen. And then, man, he set us up for lifelong relationships off screen. So, man, I'm so grateful for him.
That's so wonderful, because you are all so talented. And I think that comes across all throughout the season, but especially in episode 8. And Blake, you get this really touching scene with your father, Leroy, played by Giovanna Depo, during the final showdown, where he says, "You don't have to be me, be you."
You understand? You don't have to be me, and I don't want you to be. You just be you. You hear me? I love you.
What did this scene mean to Will, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like during the whole show, he's been chasing his father's approval. And it's almost kind of a disappointment that Leroy has in him, because he's not, this big military guy. I mean, he likes science, and he likes what he likes.
He's a nerd.
Yes, ma'am, he is. So I feel like that affirmation, I mean, that's all he needed to be able to go and get the job done. And to me and my father have a nice relationship. So he's always, affirming me and supporting me and things of that nature. So going into that scene, like putting it in my mind and having to experience a father that doesn't affirm me and doesn't, quote unquote, accept me for who I am, it made me value the affirmation and the love and support that I get from my father in real life. So
that's awesome. And then my last question before I let you guys go is, and I think this is very important, if you lived in Derry, what's one thing you do differently than your character?
Not leaving.
That part, yeah.
I don't know what, man. Look, if they would have asked me to stay, I would have looked at her so crazy. Oh my goodness. We just went through all of this. I don't care if it comes back every 27 years. I'm finna be out within the next 10 seconds. Get out of here.
Yeah, honestly, leave. I don't think there's any escaping or anything good coming out of Derry. So I think that just leave. Yeah, literally leave.
Honestly, Ronnie made the best decision and she left. So I don't know. I think mine was probably just like, Ronnie was, she had a temper to her. And I mean, you saw the compassionate side to her at the beginning, which I love so much. But yeah, she was angry a lot in this season. So that's one thing I would change.
It's true. Her dad was making silly decisions, but I think she had a right to be angry. It was nice.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's nice to see like a young Black girl be upset and have like every reason to be valid and not be punished for it. So
Hey.
I celebrate Ronnie's valid anger, even if she was mean a few times. It happens. Well, Amanda, Clara, and Blake, thank you so much for being here and for being our Losers Club. I literally can't wait to see what you guys do next. You guys are so cool.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
When we talk about horror icons, they're scary, and then there are the performances that rewrite the collective imagination.
Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise has been haunting our nightmares since he first drooled in that storm drain. An ancient evil with a childlike lilt, a warped smile, and a presence that seems to seep out of the shadows.
Today, we're talking to the man behind the clown, Bill Skarsgård, joined by the filmmaker who helped reshape this nightmare with him, co-creator, executive producer, and director Andy Muschietti.
Bill, Andy, we're so excited to have you both here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You guys have now collaborated on Pennywise across multiple productions. How has that creative shorthand between you two evolved? And what does directing and being directed look like now compared to day one on it back in 2017?
First, I have to say that, my relationship with Bill is like, I never had like a better and closest relationship with an actor in all the films that I did. So it was for me a great prospect of working with Bill again. And as you say, it was an evolution in trust, confidence.
Yeah, no, I think the first movie was, I think at the time, the biggest opportunity for both Andy and I. And I think that meant that we cared very deeply about what Pennywise would be, if it would work. If Pennywise didn't work, the movie wouldn't work. we both knew that.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Yeah, that's true.
and I think that Pennywise sort of in turn became the child of the two of us. It's like Pennywise is our baby, and we birthed this thing into the world. And yeah, and it's I love Andy, and I considered him a friend, and I consider him family. So in terms of how it's different, it's like the first time we did it, we were scared and nervous and excited and like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And revisiting it on the show, it's like, oh, what do you want me to do? It's like, we know this guy so well. We know the character so well. We know each other so well that it's just such a shorthand. And it's easy and it's a pleasure.
Over the course of this season, as you step back into Pennywise, as you create Bob Gray and find new layers, what creative discovery surprised each of you?
So I think it was around it, chapter 2, that me and Bill started having conversations about Bob Gray and how cool would it be to tell a story about how it became Pennywise and who the hell was Bob Gray. So Bob Gray was a big deal and was so exciting for us to finally get this thing going and finally approach that mysterious character that was Bob Gray, which is a human, It's not a interdimensional monster. It was the man behind it. But we did sort of speculate about, was this guy a good guy? Was there something pathological about him? Was he a psychopath? We eventually decided that he was not. And that, there's something in the book that is mentioned, I think only once, but we did a big meal of it in chapter 2, which is the proverb of all living things must abide by the laws of the shape they inhabit. And that was a piece of information that really played in the way we created this, which is the monster is, the evil, malignant force, but it acts like a clown because it's taking the shape of Bob Gray and his clown act.
Yeah, I mean, I remember vividly the conversations that we had about like, okay, well, we were doing the second movie and we're like, if you would ever follow up on anything with this guy or franchise even, we started like spitballing ideas for a potential third film. I think it's changed, but Bob Gray was like an element of it, and then the sort of 1908 traveling carnival thing. Like there's a lot of elements in there. I mean, I know we had fun with with Bob Gray. I think he was like initially he was written a little bit sentimental. It was like, oh, this sweet, loving man, and he loved his daughter, and I was like, that just did not feel entirely right to me. It just felt kind of, yeah, I guess like sentimental and a bit sort of melodramatic, and there was just something about the way the guy looked, because we used the same look as we did in the second It movie. And I'm like, I don't, I think there's something off with him too. And like, I don't know, he really amused me. It was just like he's like grumpy, and he's not where he believes that he should be. I'm sure he loves his daughter, but he's just like, one day, the big tent is gonna come calling again. He's gonna be, he's not where he's supposed to be. He used to be the highlight, the big show at the big circus, and now he's at this shitty traveling carnival, and he's not happy, and he's drinking his miseries away. There's just something fun with it. It was only in 2 scenes, but it was just, I think we had fun with, and that was the only thing to me that felt entirely new, for what we were doing. Pennywise is always going to be Pennywise, but that thing was like, oh, this is like a new creation,
Yeah, but there was something great about your performance, because it was, as you say, so little canvas to express, everything about a character. And you did so well. It's like the guy that is, relatively young, even though he has a big bald head, but you can tell that, life hasn't been good to him. And of course, makeup helps and everything, but the performance is really, telling of someone that had a fall of grace. But it's a beautiful balance, I think, of a character that has a lot of darkness, but he still hopes that, one day, the circus will come back, and they will have something new.
Something no one's ever seen before. You. Now, wouldn't that be something?
I think that the presence of Ingrid, of this child, is the thing that keeps him alive, I guess. He wants to do it for her, possibly, but it's the light of his life. That's the heartwarming part of it, of a otherwise very dark character, But it's very funny also, when he's like by himself, and he's like, he's just leaning on the fence, and he's smoking and drinking copiously. And he's just mumbling.
Damn it, it's all coming off.
You can tell that he's absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
And that was all Bill, man. That was Bill.
Yeah, that scene made the guide to me,
Yeah.
because it was also like, I think initially it was sort of written more like he was like concerned about this child, and like, oh, I'll help you, I'll go and find, like, I was like, I don't think he's in a good spot at all. I don't think he likes children all that much, apart from his own child, But I don't know. That was the scene that made, I think, me and Andy laugh the most.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's what it says about me and Andy, but
No, but he's definitely, he's so dismissive with the kid. He's like, I'm looking for my parents. I can't find them. And Bob is like,
Me neither. They're dead.
go on. And there's actually a line that we play, there's obviously with Bill, there's always a lot of improvisation. He brings a lot of ideas on the day, and I think there was a line where his interest in going to find the mother in the woods is basically because, there's a lady in distress. And he said a line that obviously it's not in the edit, but it was something on the line of, Bob Gray never said no to a lady in distress.
Bill, we'd heard from Andy and Barbara that you learned how to play the sousaphone for the show. Like, how did that inform the sort of physicality of those scenes, man?
I'm not sure if I know how to play it. But if you give me an instrument, I'm going to play that until someone takes that instrument away from me. I don't know how to play any instrument, but I'll play it until someone forces me to stop. And I've never had a sousaphone, whatever it is, before in my entire life. But it's, as soon as you give that to me, I played it nonstop. And the funny little trivia is that I was playing it so, like, I just kept playing it, and all my makeup would come off because you're blowing. So, like, I don't know if you had to VFX that at the end, but I remember just like all around my mouth was
There was
just
a big
completely
circle. Yeah.
skin's color, a big circle from blowing that horn.
No, we didn't fix it in post because the sousaphone never left your lips, actually.
Okay,
and that
that's
goes
good.
for the scene, but also for the day. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is also true for Andy, because like as soon as you got that sousaphone, you couldn't stop playing it either.
Well, I had my.
It's fun, man.
Yeah, so much fun. And I had a bugle also. I think we did. Of course, in between takes, there was a duet of sousaphone and bugle, which is another recently acquired instrument that I found on the set. People seem amused, and the crew seem amused. But you never know.
We heard a lot about it. We heard a lot about the bugle and sousaphone from everyone.
There was a lot of music intervals apart from the sousaphone in 2016 when we were shooting in one. I don't know if you remember, Bill, but there were gatherings at your house.
Yeah.
Where there was ukuleles, and even though you say that you don't play instruments, I remember you playing the ukulele too. Learning on the spot.
Well, you bought me a ukulele.
Right.
You bought me a beautiful ukulele that I still have.
Right.
Then at the time, again, if you put an instrument in my hand, I won't stop.
Exactly.
So I learned how to play
it.
And then now I don't play it anymore. But like, because it's not in my hand.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, because that's Bill's approach to everything, And again, I have to say, now that we're like, talking about the ukulele, but Bill on the set has this passion and commitment, but also the desire to explore new things. I mean, given that it's the challenge of trying to understand a character that is so cryptic and mysterious in nature, one of the concepts that Bill and I sort of came up with in the first movie was the unpredictability of the character. And, for me, it was conceptual, but for Bill, it was like also the execution of the unpredictable. And that was basically trying new things as we went. And that's why what I appreciate so much about Bill's work in all these years, discovering new things on the day. I want to work with Bill anytime and any project.
Yeah, for sure.
Science fiction, fantasy, musical.
Yeah, Pennywise the musical. Put it on Broadway.
Thank you both so much. It's been a delight talking to you guys. Just thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one,
Thank you,
fellas.
guys.
And that's a wrap on our first season here in Derry. I mean, it's been great. There's been clowns, there's been pickle dads, there's been lots and lots of birthing trauma, and a few too many looks at screwed up eyeballs.
Ugh. It's been incredible. We have laughed, we have cried, we have screamed, I've cackled, and we've talked to the people who built this world from the ground up. Thank you so much to every guest who joined us and to every one of you who listened along as we wound our way through the streets, sewers, and standpipes of this clown-infested town.
For now, though, we're jumping into a nest of clown stew for a 27-year blood facial.
Yum.
The It Welcome to Derry podcast is a production of HBO in collaboration with Spoke Media. The show is hosted by me, Mark Bernardin, and Princess Weeks.
Jenna Burnett is our senior producer, and Tess Ryan is our supervising producer.
Our associate producer is Addie Vaughn, with help from Monse Rodriguez and Trey Jones.
Sound design and mix by Sammy Syret.
For Spoke Media, our executive producer is Aaliyah Tavakolin.
Special thanks to Michael Gluckstadt, Allison Cohen-Sorokach, Kenya Reyes, and Aaron Kelly from the HBO Max podcast team.
We'll see you shit asses in 27 years. I've never been attacked by a clown, unless you count that time I saw Cirque du Soleil once and they came for me.
What did you do?
I mean, I was just sitting there, and so I understand how this finale can shake people in their boots.